Hello, my name is Clint Kingsbery, and I am the chair of the Alamo College's District Board of Trustees and serve as chair of the Education Committee for the Community College Association of Texas Trustees, known as CATT. I appreciate you taking the time to join us today for CATT's webinar on lifting communities through partnership. CATT strives to be the collective voice representing the community college trustees and regents in Texas, with the mission to foster student success and ensure excellence in governance. Today, we will hear the story of an innovative partnership model that has transformed how a community college can work alongside K-12 schools and local organizations to support student success. Our conversations will feature leaders from Forsyth Technical Community College, whose College Lift program recently received national recognition with the 2025 Bellwether Award for Instructional Programs and Services. College Lift engages students and families well before graduation, offering enrichment opportunities, mentorship, and pathways to college credit, all with the goal of preparing young people for long-term success. This session will highlight how trustees can help create the conditions for similar initiatives to thrive through policy, resource planning, and strong community partnerships. It is my pleasure to introduce our five esteemed speakers. Dr. Janet Spriggs has served as president of Forsyth Technical Community College since 2019, bringing nearly 30 years of leadership experience in the North Carolina Community College system. A two-time Aspen Presidential Fellow, she is recognized nationally for her student-centered, equity-minded leadership and commitment to workforce and economic development. A former community college student herself, Dr. Spriggs is a strong advocate for access, completion, and post-graduation success, and serves in leadership roles with national and local organizations, including the American Association of Women in Community Colleges. Dr. Paula Dibley is the Chief Officer of Student Success and Strategic Innovation at Forsyth Technical Community College, where she also serves as Chief of Staff to the President. She began her career in Washington, D.C., working with national nonprofits before transitioning to higher education in North Carolina. Dr. Dibley is passionate about her community, an advocate for social justice, and a believer that education can be the great equalizer. Masan Sawyer is the Vice President of Holistic Success Services at Forsyth Tech, where she leads initiatives that strengthen student success, persistence, and retention. An alum of the college, she has been instrumental in designing and implementing comprehensive support programs that address students' academic and personal needs. Masan is committed to fostering an environment where every student can thrive, from enrollment through graduation. Flora Calderon Steck is the Executive Director of Educational Partnerships and Hispanic Student Engagement at Forsyth Tech, where she leads efforts to expand dual enrollment and workforce pathways for local students. A proud immigrant from Costa Rica with more than 30 years of experience in education access, higher education teaching, and community engagement, she brings a deep understanding of the barriers students face and is dedicated to building programs that help students and families thrive. And finally, Ms. Ana Damaris Ortiz is the director of the College Lift program at Forsyth Tech, leading efforts to expand college access and success for historically underrepresented students. With more than 20 years of experience in K-12 and higher education, she has advanced initiatives that support multilingual and underserved students and strengthens family engagement. A bilingual, bicultural, first-generation college graduate from Puerto Rico, Ana Damaris is dedicated to building programs that empower communities and transform educational systems. Thank you for being with us this afternoon. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. We are thrilled to be with you all this afternoon. I am going to share my screen so that I can share a PowerPoint presentation with you. And I hope you can all see my screen this afternoon. It is such a great pleasure to have this opportunity to talk with you about College Lift. As you see here, we believe that College Lift elevates futures and empowers communities. And it's an honor to tell you our College Lift story. I want to start by saying that as a Bellwether Award winner, the most important part of winning that award for us was that it gave us an opportunity to share the story of College Lift in hopes that it could be a model that other colleges around the country might want to learn more about, because we believe so strongly in the impact on real lives and real futures that this program has had. And our College Lift program really started with a bold theory of change. And that was, we believed if we could intentionally and systematically uplift students and their families as early as middle school, and we recognize that that is maybe in some people's minds outside of the scope of community college. However, I hope through our example, you'll understand why we felt it important and critical to reach back into middle school when we were talking about colleges and specifically a community college's mission. So we felt like if we can intentionally and systematically uplift students and their families as early as middle school, providing robust academic support, comprehensive wraparound services, college-going preparation, and workforce readiness for parents and guardians, not just the students, we can ensure that the entire household, the entire family is equipped for college and beyond. And ultimately, what was at the heart and soul of this work for us was that we wanted to break cycles of generational poverty. At Forsyth Tech, we believe that education is a bridge out of poverty, and more specifically, that community colleges are the best bridge in our higher education sector to start that journey out of poverty. We believe that we can not only change our students' lives, but that we can transform families and we can transform generations. And moreover, we are simply leading the charge to end poverty in our service area. So I can talk to you all day about this amazing program, and it truly is an amazing program. But I think that I can share with you a story that's even more powerful than my own words. We have a video that we would love to play for you that in just about 5 minutes, I think, can bring this program to you. So let me play the video for you, and then we'll come back and talk some more.
In 2015, Harvard professor Raj Chetty studied economic mobility in the U.S. and found that the 2 worst counties were Native American reservations in South Dakota, Shannon County and Todd County. The third, Forsyth County, North Carolina.
That study really was a shock. I always had a vision of Winston-Salem and Forsyth County as a city of wealth, a city with 6 higher education institutions within the city limits.
It was sobering to highlight Winston-Salem as one of the worst performing regions in terms of economic mobility. I think galvanized a lot of people to action.
The problem of economic mobility has to do directly with access and making sure that every student, regardless of their circumstance now, has those opportunities so that they can have a different future for themselves and their families.
We know that education, workforce development, degree attainment is going to be key in changing poverty.
College Lift is helping to bridge the gap of the need that exists in our community and the workforce development. College Lift is for students that are in middle school all the way through high school, but not only that provides academic support, but also is a program designed to provide wraparound services for students and families.
I couldn't see myself going to college. We don't have that type of money to get me to go to university without scholarships. I wasn't taking my future serious, I wasn't taking life serious. But in this program, it has taught me that I actually do need to care about my future.
They set you to a higher goal. I have more goals to hit and finish.
Before College Live, I was working multiple jobs. I'm a single parent. Was definitely harder back then to just try to maintain everything.
It was really important for us to be creating pathways for parents to also have access to high-paying jobs. And they're sitting in small tables and they're getting instruction about digital literacy and financial literacy and what is an interest rate of a loan and how to save and what is FAFSA.
The hopes and change that happened with College Live definitely did a huge change in my life. My daughter is going to go to college. I'm able to see my daughter go to college.
y otros instrumentos. Ya le ha dado más libertad a mi hija, de hecho también eso la ha motivado, de que ya no tiene que estarse preocupando por a dónde voy a ir, con qué tengo que ir, qué tan caro va a ser la universidad.
So the ultimate goal for College Live, in addition to having our scholars pursuing education after high school, is to prepare them to enter the workforce.
So it's a pipeline to us and through us, because we're not the end point. This is the jumping point for a career or four-year school and beyond.
From the help of College Live, I got into dual enrollment. I chose the aviation mechanic technician program. I got to UNCG, and I'm gonna be an interior designer.
We provide wraparound services for families and students.
It's not just about school, but like they also be there for you too. I get emotional because like this program has helped us a lot. Seeing my mom struggle, I'm working hard to get us to college, and I wanted to do something that really paid my mama back for all her hard work. Without this program, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now in college with most of my tuition paid, not a lot of burden on my mom or my family. So I'm very happy that I joined this program while I was younger.
I'm very proud of her. The graduating at 16 is a huge celebration. It's like I see it's paying off now.
I want to stay around here in North Carolina. I want to work over there in Charlotte in American Airlines. I'm excited to live my life that I always dreamed of when I was a little kid. Dreams can become possible. It's not only going to be a dream, it's reality now.
It helps me to open up a little bit more on what we both need to set an example in my community.
Podemos llegar lejos, siempre y cuando nosotros también continuemos en este camino que es College Live y que nos está ayudando mucho.
College Lift helps us do that. We are seeing higher levels of success, higher levels of retention and persistence with our College Lift students.
We've got a lot of community organizations and folks invested in our students and in their futures and the futures of their families.
We all benefit from a vibrant community where everybody's participating in the American dream.
We are a vital partner in the work that is being done to address these issues and really make a difference in ending poverty in our communities.
In 2015,
My
Harvard Professor
apologies,
Raj
one
Chetty
second.
studied economic mobility in the U.S.
That is user error. Apologies for not being able to work the technology, and after practicing. I'm going to stop sharing for just a moment. Apologies as I figure out what I have done wrong here, and I'm going to share again the screen and get back to our topic of conversation. I'm going to try to share from here. Oh my, okay, there we go. Now maybe I can get to the right place. Okay, so I think that video, numbers can tell a story, but the real impact is the lives of the people that we touch. I think that all of us who work in higher education or in education and work in community colleges particularly, we understand that our business is people business, and that the work that we do is designed to not only meet workforce needs, but to help people move forward and create brighter futures for themselves. So when we think about College Lift, and you saw the video that does such a beautiful job of telling the story of the why this is important through the participants, Kimberly and Yurid, and the students that are actually part of this program. Kimberly said, it's not just a dream anymore, it's my reality. That is what our goal and what the community need that we were facing, that is what led us to creating College Live. You can see a statistic here on the screen that says Forsyth County was the third hardest place in the United States to break cycles of generational poverty. That was from Dr. Raj Chetty who works with Harvard and Opportunities Insight, and that was from a 2015 study. That was the wake-up call from our community that Winston-Salem is a city that we always felt had great promise, was the city of arts and innovation, but it was also a city that had deep sectors of poverty, lots of children living in poverty, going to sleep hungry at night. The third hardest place in the country for someone born into poverty to break out of poverty. And that for us was just so much more than a statistic. It was heartbreaking that 25% of children 5 and under in our communities went to bed hungry at night. So we set about building a strategic plan that would help us comprehensively look at the things that we needed to do to be a leader within our community as the community's college to help change that trajectory and to turn things around. And we also knew that this wasn't just an individual problem, it was a family problem. We had lots of families that had been living in poverty for generations. We also had significant workforce gaps that we needed to fill with skilled labor. And so this was going to be a win for the individual and a win for our businesses as well. Just a few of the numbers as we talk about the reasons why we decided to begin College Lift. We had about 19% overall of people in Winston-Salem living below the poverty line. Only 1 in 4 ninth graders in our community were going on to earn a post-secondary degree if they were even finishing high school. For many young people in our city, the future really was decided for them before they ever had a chance to fight for it. College Lift is a program that exists solely to change that future, to intervene early, to disrupt those cycles, and to build a new reality where students don't just survive, but they thrive. And we set early for them the expectation that college is for them, and we walk alongside them hand in hand on getting them to college. So the dire statistic that you see here on this slide was so much more for our community than just another data point. It truly became a wake-up call and a call to action. And we knew that we needed to find an approach that wasn't going to be just a stopgap for the current right now, but that was going to be a long haul approach and a solution that was going to have impacts far into the future. I'm going to turn it over now to my colleague, Dr. Paula Dibley, to take us further in the conversation about how and why College Lift. Paula?
Thank you, Dr. Spriggs. Yes, I would like the opportunity to share a little bit more about about who Forsyth Tech is, but then also talk to you a little bit about our board's involvement in bringing College Lift to life at Forsyth Tech and how they have played a critical role in shaping the development of this program. So as you can see on the screen, Forsyth Tech, you now know that we're based in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, where we have a vision of being a catalyst for equitable economic mobility, empowering lives, and transforming communities. And I say that our board has been involved from the very beginning with this entire initiative, in part because they have been behind shaping this vision for the college, setting this pretty bold, audacious goal for our community, and helping us to undergird everything that is happening at Forsyth Tech every day. Our board, we're very privileged, has been so involved and thoughtful about the work of the college and ensuring that we are living up to this vision that they have set forth for us to be this catalyst for equitable economic mobility. And so that vision that's been in place here at the college since 2019 has really laid that strong foundation so that when it came time for the opportunity to present itself for College Lift to become more and more a part of Forsyth Tech, it ultimately was very natural. I will tell you that College Lift started in our community in Winston-Salem on the heels of that Raj Chetty study in Forsyth County. What started as just a nugget of an idea ultimately turned into a local nonprofit. A young man named Logan Fallon helped to start a local nonprofit that was designed to target this very challenge that you saw outlined in the video, and to provide college access to students starting in 6th grade. And over time, that program had started and was going well, and it pretty quickly found Forsyth Tech as a key partner in this project, and as a college access entity, and as a partner to provide scholarships at the end of our students' journeys through high school and on to college. And then at the time, we started offering space to them. Our board was very supportive of these initiatives. But we found ourselves in the middle of a pandemic, and that organization was no longer going to be able to stand on its own. And as you can imagine, during that time, it was very difficult to run a program that was based on tutoring within middle schools and providing an extra day of Saturday curriculum. Thus, ultimately, we had the opportunity at Forsyth Tech for our board to consider if they would have College Lift officially join Forsyth Tech to merge this, what was then a nonprofit, into an operation out of the college. And I would just say that our board was immediately interested in this kind of innovative partnership. Dr. Spriggs mentioned early on that it was, some people might question what would a community college focused on post-secondary credentials have to do with 6th graders, right? But I think pretty quickly, one of our board members really just helped us to articulate that, we can bemoan that students might not be ready for college when they leave high school. And we can talk about that problem, or we can reach back and we can actually do something about that problem. And knowing that reaching back into high school alone was probably not really going to do enough, so that this earlier intervention starting in 6th grade really made a lot of sense because it aligned with this vision that the board had set for us. I would also say that as we've moved forward, because we are now years after that decision by our Board of Trustees, and we are 2 graduating classes into having graduates from the College Lift program, our board has been actively involved in continuing to support the program. Whether that's our fundraising priorities to be able to still support the private funding aspects of this program. And they've been on site to be able to see the program in action. We've had more than one time an opportunity for our trustees to come visit the program on Saturday and to really get to meet our students and see that come to life. Obviously, graduation is a perfect time for them to be involved, but they have been active participants in both supporting the initiative from both a funding standpoint and keeping an eye on where we're going strategically. It is my pleasure now to go ahead and turn it over to Flora Calderon-Stack.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Dibley. So this far into the presentation, I think it has become quite clear that at Forsyth Tech, we are really passionate about being a partner with others in the community to be a problem solver. So as you can see here in this slide, for us, the very distinct partnerships that we have are key to our success. So with you right now, I would like to highlight 3 of those partners that are critical for the success of College Lift. And the first one is the school district. And so that means a lot of things, right? So what we have done is that we have been very strategic in how we approach our K-12 partners. And we have really poured into our relationships at the executive level to be able to have that connection and buy-in from the top. And Dr. Spriggs, as our college president, has been quite influential in leading that effort. And so we have that alignment of priorities, and actually our current strategic plans are quite aligned in terms of how we work together. Literally, like it's written out. So that's one, right? The K-12 partners. And then we go down, and our relationships with our principals as the head of the buildings are very, very important because they are literally the gate openers, and we need them to open those doors for us. And I don't know how replicable this is, but a key success for us is that, and you will hear from her after I speak, our current director, Anna Damaris, she comes from the district where she spent almost 20 years building those relationships herself as an assistant principal. So that social capital, whether it comes like we are fortunate to have with Ana Damaris, or we create that is very important, those personal relationships. And also just being in those buildings, like not just showing up to make a presentation and leave, but spending time being in the classroom, talking to being in the cafeteria, talking to the teachers, creating that relationship so that you are really integrated into the context that you we're working with those students. So the K-12 is one of our key partners. And very quickly, I want to highlight two others, and one is Truliant, the credit union. They're one of our funders, and very importantly, they also provide financial literacy workshops, bilingual, to our parents. And it's just not one workshop, but it's a series of workshops that build on. So that's a beautiful partnership with a local organization. And lastly, and very quickly, is a national one. So the district got a grant from the National Center of Family Literacy to provide a training in advocacy for parents. And because we have a relationship, they came to us and they said, we've got this grant. And we're like, and we've got the families. So it was a beautiful partnership. So the result of that is that our parents were able to go through a rigorous 9-month training program with this organization where they learn how to be advocates. So that's just some of the examples to highlight about how critical partnerships are for us. And in the next slide, we will see a picture of, thank you, Dr. Spriggs, of Dr. Spriggs and the provost of the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. And this is a representation of our higher ed 4-year schools partners. We have partnered with the institutions that you see here on this slide to create a pipeline. And the promise is that when students finish the program with us, 7 years, they graduate from high school, they have gone through dual enrollment and earned tuition-free credits, then they have the promise of a tuition-free scholarship at these institutions. And how are we structured is that we have MOAs with all of the organizations that we work with, just so that we're clear on the responsibilities of each partner. And I can continue to go on, but I am going to pass it on to my colleague, Ana Damaris Ortiz, who is our college president. Not our college president, the president of College Lift. Yes.
Thank you, Flora. Thank you all. It's a pleasure to be here. So there's different ways that we measure success in our College Lift program. And as you can see in this slide, we have 100% college matriculation. I know Dr. Dibley shared before that we had already 2 graduating class. So all of our scholars have enrolled in college, and three of them had joined the armed forces. So we're very proud of that. And we have 100% of graduation from high school, which is an amazing success. In addition to that, we measure success looking at their academic progress and the way they participate in summer enrichment, and most importantly, when they come here on Saturdays. Because as we know, they're 5 days a week in their schools, and being here on Saturdays adds an extra day of academic for them, or instructional day for them. So when we see them coming through the doors on Saturday morning, super early in the morning, we know that's success for us. They really want to be here in the program. So that's one of our key measures of success. Then in addition, we have a partnership with the district, as Flora mentioned before, and we share academic data. So with the data that we share, we have seen an increase in the academic achievement of the scholars that are in our program, showing that 80% of the scholars that are in our program have shown higher attendance rates compared to the peers that are in the same grade at their schools. They also have outperformed them in math and reading academic tests at the beginning of the year, middle of the year, and then at the end of the year. The growth is more than a 50% compared to their peers. That's another success that we're seeing. And then when I mentioned summer enrichment, it's important for us that our scholars stay engaged throughout the summer so that they're continue participating, their learning is constant. So this summer, we defined success by them participating in a 3-week long biotechnology institute where scholars participated in academic experiences such as hands-on labs. They learn about different careers in STEM, science, biotechnology, aviation, as one of them mentioned before in the video. We also are incorporating more participation of our scholars in different community events. So we had a health and education event where scholars were leaders on that event. So that shows that in addition to the academic success, they're also having more self-confidence in them. And that reinforces that when you combine academics, family engagement, and support services, you're building pathways to long-term success for both students and their families. And now it's my pleasure to have Maison Sawyer, our colleague, that is going to share more information about college life.
Actually, I think this is Dr. Dibley. Is that Dr. Dibley's line?
Oh, yes, I think so. I'm happy to hop in here.
Thank you.
Perfect. Yes, of course. Can you guys still hear me okay? Okay, great. So I think Ana Damaris really shared a lot of key data points with all of you as we think about how we are tracking the success of this program. So we are looking at those lagging indicators that you just saw on the screen in terms of our matriculation rates and our graduation rates. Students graduating high school, matriculating onto college. And then we're also looking at the much granular leading indicators of how are students performing in real time, right? And understanding how their grades are going, how they're progressing, all of those, how they're doing on some of those key testing benchmarks that the district does repeatedly throughout the year. So we're monitoring all of those. And then what we end up doing is on about an annual basis, our Board of Trustees is updated on the sort of progress of College Lift and how we're progressing with our graduation outlook and all of those kinds of details. The board is also kind of keeping tabs on just knowing how many students we have comprehensively in the program. As you might imagine, since our program is based upon scholarships available at the end of the journey for students, we have a certain formula that we put in place that helps us know that the number of students we admit into the 6th grade program lines up with the number of scholarships we ultimately have available at the end of their journey, because we don't want to overpromise something that we haven't been able to secure with our university partners. So they're sort of taking a look at all of that data on about an annual basis. And then I have the privilege of just talking to you a little bit more about what maybe perhaps some words of advice and considerations that if you were trustees charged with leading the overall vision and policy for your respective community colleges, what might you consider as you think about similar programming like this? And so just thinking about that, there are a couple of things that I wanted to offer that we have learned over the last just about 8 years of supporting this program. I mean, I think right off the top, I hope you've heard loud and clear that investments like this, early investments in middle school students, that they pay off, right? So this investment in some of the most vulnerable individuals in our community is resulting in actual meaningful progress, right? These students who statistically were not deemed to graduate high school, let alone go to college, have defied that and have done exactly that. So this is worth investing in. And I use the word investing deliberately there, right? Because it's not just something that costs the college money. It is actually truly an investment in the young people in your community and ultimately the workforce at the end of the day who will be able to employ these educated people. I also think it's worth noting that things that we learned is that bringing a program like this into a community college was an adjustment, right? Most community colleges are not accustomed to serving middle school students, or if they are working with middle school students, it's from a, hi, come by for a career day or come out for a summer camp. This program has us running a Saturday school for 6th through 12th graders, right? Most colleges, community colleges, aren't used to doing that. It takes a mindset shift internally across the college to be able to do that kind of work. And that's something that that we were deliberate about, but I'll admit that it was not necessarily easy. There were things in the very beginning of the integrating College Lift where we were like, well, we know we want to leverage a lot of our existing services for these students and families, but how? How does one do that, right? You know, the counseling staff we have, and the referrals that they've been making, that's not necessarily automatically been geared toward 6th graders, right? So that was a time, something that we maybe didn't fully see that was going to be a bit of an adjustment for us. And I would just give that as advice to you as you're thinking about something like this. Other things to be thoughtful about is that being able to then integrate something like this to the college. I mean, I will tell you now that if you come to Forsyth Tech, College Lift is something that almost every person that you meet around the college would be able to tell you about. And it is very integrated into the work that we do. And people will think of College Lift as one of the best things that we do here at Forsyth Tech. And that's really exciting, but it also has meant that it needed to be fully embedded into what we had to offer. Other key things that we were thinking of in reflection here is that having support services, holistic wraparound support services at Forsyth Tech, we call that Forsyth Tech Cares, which is access to emergency aid, our food pantries, support with transportation, childcare, all of those kind of outside the classroom support services that help ensure individuals can continue on their educational journey. We were able to have Forsyth Tech Cares in operation and available to our students at Forsyth Tech prior to bringing this program online. And I'm not sure we would have been able to be as successful if we hadn't already been able to tap into programs like that. So if the college is not already providing some of those key holistic supports to students, it's going to be a missing link when you're thinking about doing something like this. I think maybe just a couple other quick things I'll just share, that Flora talked about the relationships and our partnerships, and they are absolutely critical. And I will say that they are not set it and forget it kinds of relationships. Being able to work with our district partners in particular at the district level, but then also at the actual individual school level, it's critical, and it can make or break a student's ability to access the program, and our ability to properly recruit the incoming class of students. Having those relationships is so important, and they don't keep. Sometimes there are changes where principals leave the institution, or there is just enough shifting internally that some institutional knowledge is lost. We can't leave those to chance, and we keep sort of monitoring those relationships and working on them, because sometimes it can feel like 2 steps forward, 1 step back if you're not careful to take care of those relationships. I think that that's probably enough for this exact moment, but we'd be happy in the question section to talk more about other things that we've learned throughout this journey that might be applicable to what you can do in Texas. Mason Sawyer, I would love to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Paula. So, as you've heard, at Forsyth Tech, we are committed to the success of our College Lift scholars, but not just the scholars, the families. And as a result of that, we've made some resource allocations, some policy decisions, and some other strategic actions that I kind of just want to give a high level of. So in terms of resource allocations, the college actually pays for 3 full-time positions with our state funding. So we typically use here in initiatives kind of like this, what we call a braided funding model. And so that incorporates state funding, that incorporates our foundation, which has already kind of been talked about here, but also external funds that we get from other donors and different organizations within our community to help us pay for the LIFT program to even be operational. As a matter of fact, some of the funds that's raised by the foundation actually helps us cover our operational programming costs and the part-time instructional staff. The College Lift Initiative is actually one of the 3 foundation priorities. And in the picture you see on the screen is actually one of our College Lift scholars named Alex. And her mom actually attended last year's foundation luncheon to give her perspective of the College Lift program and the things that she's been able to experience while going through the program. One of the strategic decisions that we made in regards to the College Lift program was actually to have it in housed under our educational partnerships area, which is led by Ms. Flora. And that area is actually responsible for facilitating relationships that we've been talking about so closely with our K-12 district. That includes our dual enrollment areas and our community organizations. And as part of that, one of the key decisions that we made is for College Lift students to be a part of the pipeline to get dual enrolled classes while they're enrolled in high school. In other words, again, it was mentioned before that they can earn tuition-free college courses while in high school. And then once they've done that, we could also give them the wraparound services that other scholars, as Dr. Dibley mentioned, receive as a student at Forsyth Tech, and also connecting their family to the resources that they need to. In addition to that, over the past 5 years, the college has invested in things like bilingual print, digital and video materials to raise awareness and to recruit students. The family engagement Saturday session. So it's not just the students who have to come on Saturdays, their families do too. And they're becoming the place to be to learn about middle school, about high school procedures and resources, workplace opportunities, skill development, and leadership growth. We regularly have presentations by some of our school district offices. They come, community organizations, some of our college departments actually show up on Saturdays. We even had one middle school principal who doesn't have a PTA actually came on a Saturday to give a presentation to our parents to let them know about the school and the things and the ways that they can become involved. We really show up for our scholars, and in doing so, we actually gain the community's trust. Saturday after Saturday, we see students becoming more comfortable on campus, more willing to be authentic, less hesitant to learn, and more engaged overall. We've had 2 graduations, and at each one of those graduations, we've had district executives, Board of Education leaders, principals, and all those people who are supporting our students when they're not with us have come to join us to celebrate the milestone of reaching a high school graduation. We also partner with local and state nonprofits like Crosby Scholars, our local Hispanic League, and the College Foundation of North Carolina. And we also collaborate in making sure they have academic enrichment, community service opportunities, and scholarships. As a result of this, we are creating a pipeline for our Title I students to enroll at Forsyth Tech as the best post-secondary strategic choice, and also their four-year institution that they may choose to go to. I'm going to now turn it back over to our esteemed president, Dr. Janet Spriggs.
Thank you so much, Mason. And I love this picture especially. This is the second College Lift graduating class of those seniors who made it all the way through 7 years of that rigorous intervention and Saturday Academy and all the wonderful things that make up College Lift to persist to graduation. And I think you heard all of them not only graduated from high school, they earned dual credit while they were in college and through the College Lift program. They also are all enrolled in college except for one young lady who joined the Marine Corps. Many of them are still at Forsyth Tech. pursuing a degree in nursing and lots of other disciplines. Many of them are at one of our university partners, and a few are at colleges that were not specific partners with College Lit. But the important thing is that they all got to wear those graduation robes and participate in graduation. And I want to just end real quickly. I want to give time for questions. And so I'm going to just very quickly share a couple of the challenges that our board faced and that any board thinking of doing something like this is likely to face. You know, great things are usually not challenge-free. The wonderful thing about my board at Forsyth Tech is that they truly believe that a challenge is just something that's going to breed opportunity. And so some of the things that we learned are based on not being afraid to challenge a challenge, not being afraid to say, this is challenging the status quo. This is doing something that has not been done to our knowledge like this at any other community college in the country. We had a successful model from a university system, a private university that had a lot more resources, financial and otherwise, than we did. And so some of the challenges that we faced were different than what USC faced. We had to think about how we were going to finance this without the traditional state dollars from FTE generated, because we were not going to be generating FTE for at least for the 6th graders up through the 8th graders, because we couldn't offer dual credit yet. So challenging, one of the challenging aspects is figuring out within your financial system, because every community college system in the country has a different financial model, how you're going to be able to support this work. That's definitely a challenge. And along with that, some of the lessons that we learned, making sure that the key lesson that we learned is that impact is going to require us to put time in and to build trust. These parents that we worked with didn't just automatically trust us, and we had to take time to really proactively and intentionally build relationships with the students, with the parents, with all the partners as well. And that's a long-term investment in our student lives. So you have to go into this being ready to commit to the long term and recognizing that it's going to take a little bit of time before you're going to see the real impact. Although I would say that within just the brief amount of time, the 8-9 years that we've been doing this, we certainly have seen significant impact. I also think that one of the key things we learned is that you have to center the whole student, thinking academically, socially, and emotionally about what they're going to need. That's what creates real transformation. Being flexible, making sure that we have a student-first model that also allowed us to continually learn from the students and to learn from the stakeholders and the partners and to invest time back in taking what we had learned and creating an evolution that would continue to grow and expand. So I, again, could go on and on and on about all the different things that we have learned. But what I will say is that what we learned most is not to be afraid to do something that no one else has done before, and not to be afraid to launch a program like this, even if you don't have everything 100% figured out. I am not a fan of long pilot programs because they don't allow you, in my opinion, to really scale the work in a meaningful way quick enough. And so we jumped into this in some ways knowing that we were building a little bit of the plane while we were flying it. And we became okay with that, with understanding that as long as we were doing no harm to students, that we were working to make lives better, that we could figure this out together and that we would figure it out together. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. If we still have time, Dr. Pensley, I would love to offer an opportunity. We'd be happy to answer any questions that anyone might have. And again, I just want to say thank you so very much from all of us for the opportunity to share a little bit about College Lit with all of you. And Dr. Kingsbery, I'm sorry. I meant to say Kingsbery.
Oh, No, you're fine. I actually do have a question for you. So, how are you able to maintain consistent, like this took a long time, right? How are you able to maintain that consistency with a changing board or changing policies, both from the state and federally as well? Did y'all implement it into like a policy? Like, what was your approach there?
Well, so we really did not do anything, and I'm going to ask Paula, any of you on my team that remember something that I don't remember. We did not have to change any policy or really create a policy per se, because we were not doing anything that was outside of state rules, federal rules, and regulations. And so far, there has really not been anything that has changed that would disallow us from doing this. We are not charging any tuition. That would certainly require some policy conversations and some ways to mitigate state rules on that. There's no cost to the students. We did not use public dollars to fund the things that public dollars are not allowed to fund. We used private philanthropic grant money and other private funds to be able to do that. We maximized our state dollars in places where we could. So for example, we can offer dual credit beginning in 9th grade to students, and we can earn money on that dual credit. So we worked hard to expand and access for our college lift students to the dual credit courses, which helped us then pay for those instructors and some of that work. But we were able to work within the rules and guidelines and not really so far have not faced having to change any policies or ask for waivers or anything like that on policy. My board has changed some, but thankfully the vision of the work that we're trying to do holistically has remained the same. Our board, through any changes in governance, we're still about ending poverty, right? We are still about using Forsyth Tech and this vehicle of access, success, and post-graduation outcomes for our students and communities as a lever for advancing economic mobility, which College Lift does. And so there really hasn't been any negative consequences in the board changes. They're still all bought into that same thing. Economic mobility is about creating better lives for people and about filling the workforce with qualified individuals that will make family sustaining wages once we prepare them for the jobs that are out there. So it's not been, that hasn't been much of a challenge, I would say.
Well, that's good to hear. Thank you for sharing that. Nicole, do we have any other questions that we want to go over?
Don't see any questions in the chat, but I have so enjoyed this presentation. I want to do a particular shout out because of our work here in Texas around data-informed governance. The reference to both leading and lagging indicators is excellent, and how you really explained that these early investments in middle school have payoff, much farther down the line. So congratulations on your first graduating class. I mean, 8 years is a long time to wait, but so powerful when you think about the ripple effect every year after that. And I guess I would invite maybe Dr. Dibley to share more about what she mentioned related to that mindset shift that had to happen across the college to introduce a new Saturday school like this.
Yeah, I think that and thank you for that. It's been an evolution, and to be honest with you, the biggest thing that worked for us was really continuing to tell the story, telling from the very beginning. And you saw in the video, right, the faces of these young people, and they're in their words talking about what this program has been all about. And to be honest, even when we've had changes in trustees coming on board, as we are quickly able to showcase what College Lift is doing and who it is serving, there is very little resistance to the idea of it, right? It sort of sells itself once you really understand that. But it did take effort to help people understand that, right? When you are used to serving primarily adult learners or students who are 18 years old, and that is just sort of your bread and butter, it can feel really different to think about all of the different layers um, to unpack when that's not what you're talking about. You're talking about a very young person. The first time that these 11-year-olds started coming on campus, I mean, we were like, whoa, and we thought the early college students looked young. Like it was a bit of we're a bit shell-shocked from that. And the more though we have been able to get people to a Saturday academy to see what's happening there, that has been absolutely critical. And bit by bit, that is exactly what we have done. I don't know that there's really like a department on campus that hasn't come and been a part of one of the many offerings for the program. And I think the other piece to that has been all along the focus on, yes, the students in the program, but this is a dual generation program, right? We are focused on supporting their parent, guardian, family, right? We don't ask them to come 15 of the 21 Saturdays for no reason, right? They are there in part because they're helping to figure out how to support their student, and their scholar, but they're also learning things that really apply to them. So where we could really then connect the dots and say, okay, so our employability lab, right, who's focused on work search for adults, they have a big role to play in College Lift. They might not be helping the sixth graders with their resumes quite yet, but they have a lot of interest in supporting those adult learners, their parents who are there and part of this program. So I think that there's really, what we found is that there's something for everyone in this program. And as soon as you can kind of tell the story and get them involved in working with the parents and the scholars, it has helped us change this mindset. And frankly, it's paved the way for other programs, right? If you've got an Upward Bound program, which is a trio program, if you've got Gear Up or any of these other initiatives where you're working with young people, it can really help kind of like increase the ability and the flexibility of the institution to work across these different generations.
But thank you for that. That's been very insightful, and I understand like trying to get that downward expansion and really building out into the K-12 area and taking advantage of helping those students to see you can be a college graduate someday. You can come to our institution and we will show you the path, right? And I think it's so important involving the parents as well. I think that's kind of what helps your program really stand out and probably why Bellwether thought, yeah, this is the one, right? Because that parent engagement piece is so important, really connecting them with the institution, helping them see the growth in their own scholars, and really making a difference generationally, as you said, not just with them and their own child, but also their grandchildren ultimately, right? So, yeah, no, I think it's a really, really impressive. And I think I need to wrap up here. So let me go ahead and do the 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 closing remarks here. But again, I just want to say thank you, Dr. Spriggs, Dr. Dibley, Mason, Flora, and Ana Damaris for your wonderful presentation. It was very informative, and I really enjoyed the video as well. I'm excited to share that we have a detailed agenda for the 2025 CAT Annual Conference that will be released next week. This year's event is in Austin, and it will showcase real-world case studies that highlight how Texas community colleges are navigating challenges and advancing student success. Sessions will feature practical strategies, policy insights, and examples of effective board leadership drawn from across the state. For the first time, we'll have breakout sessions specifically designed for board liaisons. Also new this year, CAT is hosting a luncheon on Thursday for those attending the conference for the first time. This will be a great opportunity to meet members of the CAT board and learn more about the essential pillars of trusteeship. For those available to join us on Thursday afternoon, we encourage you to participate in the 1:30 p.m. pre-conference session on state and local advocacy, featuring new resources available in CAT's Community College Data Advocacy Toolkit. Please reach out to Nicole if you have any questions about this year's agenda or the Chair's Council Scholarship that provides one free trustee registration for each institution. Additionally, this year we are offering free registration to new community college CEOs. A strong board CEO relationship is paramount to your college's success, and we hope you and your CEOs will plan to attend the conference together. So leaders from 31 different community colleges have already registered, and I look forward to seeing you in Austin next month for the CAT Annual Conference. And so thanks again for attending today's webinar. We wish you and your colleges a wonderful start to the fall semester. Have a great day.